folks, this is Wayne R back for another lesson, and probably one of my favourite Foo Fighters songs today, Everlong. Absolutely awesome tune. I've had a lot of requests for this one, particularly on an acoustic guitar, like an acoustic version. It's in drop D tuning, I'll explain all that in a minute, so without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do to play this song, it's in drop D tuning, so we're tuning the E string down a whole tone to a D, okay? You could either do that with a tuner or the way that I normally do it. If you can do it by ear, you know, I'll tune it to the D string, you know? Okay, so once you've pretty much got the verse and, you know, and the bridge and the chorus to this, it basically repeats. So once I've shown you all that, you've pretty much got the song. So the first thing we want to do, we want to play a power chord shape. The first finger on the A string is going to be on the 9th fret, and the third finger is going to be on the 11th fret on the D string, okay? But what we're going to do, we're going to sort of pedal off what is now the D string, the bottom D string. So there's, you know, different ways that you can play this. The strumming pattern that I tend to normally use for this will be you know, two strikes on the D and then play the chord. Sort of 2 strikes at the end, so 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so what we're doing, we're pedaling off that open D string, and then we're playing the chord after. We're doing like 2 on the open D and then the chord, sort of 3 strikes on the chord at the end. Okay, so that'll be your first chord. The second chord, we'll be lifting the first finger up. We're going to leave the third finger where it is, but we're going to cover the 9th fret on what is now the D string and the A string. And we're going to do exactly the same thing again with the strumming. Okay, we're going to move the whole shape down. So the first finger is now on the 5th fret, but we're keeping the same shape, you know, covering the A and what is now the D string, and the third finger is now on the 7th fret, and we're going to do. Now this is half time of what you're doing on the other chord, so, and then we're back up to the same shape up to the 9th fret again with the 5th, and then it repeats the cycle again. So really slowly with all that, we're going to go. Second chord, half time on that one, and then back to that chord. And that's pretty much your verse. The words. Hello, I've waited. Okay, so it carries on going through with those chords, but what I think sounds really cool, and I've seen Dave Grohl do this a few times, it seems to be he plays it at a different time every time I see him play it, but what I tend to do is I'll do exactly the same thing again, but I'm going to add my little finger on the 9th fret on the G string, just to give it a bit more, make it sound a little bit fatter, and this will be the sort of the second part of the verse. So, you know, we've got the same, you know, pedaling off that open D string. Got that extra note in there, just makes it sound a little bit fatter and a bit more interesting, obviously, when you're playing it on an acoustic. Yeah, so that'd be exactly the same thing you were doing before, but you just add in a little finger on the 11th fret on the G string. Okay. Okay, so it'd run all through that verse again. The next bit we've got is the bridge bit that builds up to the chorus. You know, So these are like octaves, okay? Now the Foo Fighters tend to use these loads. They use them in, you know, practically more or less every song that they do these days, because they've got 3 guitarists, so one of the guitarists is doing, you know, this sort of octave thing, which is really, really effective. So we're going to start off with the first finger on the 4th fret on the A string. The 3rd finger is going to be on the 6th fret on the G string, okay? And what we're going to try and do on this is, if you can just put the first finger just so it's touching what is now the D string, it's just meeting that. And if you lie it down, you want to be sort of muting the D string as well, so we get this. You know, just the two, what would be a C sharp and another C sharp, you know, just those 2 notes ringing out together. So at the first one, we're going to move that shape up 1 fret. Then we're going to go 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets. So again, a bit slower. Okay, and at the end of that, we're going to play like an A5 power chord. So that's covering, you know, like an A sus2 shape. I tend to do this with 1 finger, covering the D and the G string together, but we're playing the open A string as well. And a little pedal off that open A string. Okay, it does that 3 times, and on the 3rd run we're going to go straight in the chorus. So if this was the 3rd time, so I'll play all 3 through. So we got the first one. Then I wonder, I sing along with you. And the 3rd run, which would be this one, we're going to go in the 2nd chord in the verse, where we're covering the now D and the A string, and we've got our 3rd finger on the 11th fret on the on the D string, and we're going to, you know, play the top 3 strings downstroke. So everything could ever, we're going to slide that to the 5th fret, be this good for. And you got options here. You could either play a power chord, which would be a D shape, sounds quite nice. So that's like a power chord, 1st finger 5th fret on the A, 3rd finger 7th fret on the D, little finger 7th fret on the G. And you can also play, you know, what is now the open D string as well. Or a chord that I tend to use a lot would be like a D sus2, which is basically you know, a regular D major. You take your 2nd finger off, but we, you know, now it's in drop D tuning, we can play all the strings and you get a lovely ring. So that together, so we got everything could ever feel this real forever. That's once. Everything could ever feel this good again. Okay, in the 3rd run of that, we're gonna go. Everything we're gonna say to you. We're gonna go to the D. Gotta promise to the A5 chord. Stop when I say. We're going to go to the 5th fret with the covering the, you know, the bottom 2 strings on the 3rd fret on the 7th. And she said, and I'm through the verse again. Okay, so I'll just go through that chorus really slowly. So everything could ever feel this real forever. Everything could ever feel this good again. I'd ever ask of you. Got a promise to A5. Well, I say when we go to the 5th fret. And she said, okay, and you go round the verse chords again. And that basically repeats. I think there's a sort of another verse, and then there's a bit of a break, which is more or less the verse again, and then it goes back into the chorus at the end. So that, folks, is pretty much all you're going to need. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. I hope you all dug that. Great song to play on an acoustic guitar, or, you know, or an electric for that matter. The full version's brilliant as well. brilliant song. Like I say, I've had quite a lot of requests for this one. I've got a few Foo Fighters songs, you know, that I've posted up in the past, but every time I post one up, everyone sort of asks for this one. So I hope this has met the satisfaction, and thanks very much for watching. Thanks everyone who's subscribed. At this point, I've just gone over 3,000 subscribers, so I really, really do appreciate it. That, you know, it means a lot, and I'd like to thank you all for that. You know, please spread the word. You know, we'll keep it going, because I love doing this. I don't, you know, make any money out of doing this. I do it for the fun of it, and obviously I do it, you know, to get myself out there and a bit of exposure. And I often found that word of mouth is the best thing for that. So if you guys could spread the word and, you know, share my video, tell your friends about me, I would, you know, really appreciate that. Anyone who's got any requests, you know, a good way to reach me, you could either post a comment in the video below, but if you want to contact me directly, if you go over and like my page on Facebook, which is Wayne R Guitar, you could send me a personal message, as long as it's a nice message, mind. And I am getting through 1 or 2 requests at the moment, so sort of earmarked a few of them. So if you have requested a song, you know, be patient, it might be coming up soon. Okay, so that just leaves it to say thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you for another lesson very soon. Take care.